This episode of Rec League Pros podcast is sponsored by Anchor. I've reiterated this in so many episodes at this point now. If you haven't figured it out, figure it out. All right, listen up. Okay, you want to start a podcast, don't know how to, don't really know how to distribute or anything like that. Anchor is the place for you. All right, you can distribute on all different platforms: Apple, Spotify, Google, Breaker, Anchor itself, Pocket Cast, you name it, they have it, and you can distribute right from there. All at once, all platforms, simple as that. You can edit from Anchor, add music, do sound effects, etc. You want to, on top of that too, make money. Make money, guys. All right, you can do ad reads with zero minimum listenership. All right, so what you're going to do today is you're going to go to anchor.fm, or you're going to download the Anchor app on your phone, tablet, etc., and get started making your podcast today. Again, go to anchor.fm or download the Anchor app, get started making your podcast today. Literally become the Joe Rogan podcast. All right. Probably won't be as big with a few listeners right off the bat, but who knows? You'll see, all right? Go get Anchor, all right? Roll the intro. Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Rec League Pros podcast with your boy. I know it's been a while. Again, apologize. Conflicts with scheduling and so on and so forth, but we're back on the grind, all right? We got 3 interviews lined up the next 3 days. We'll have an episode a week every Friday. They'll be distributed right at midnight, 12 a.m. Fridays. YouTube, all your podcasting platforms you can think of. So when it comes out, you'll have it ready to go, and these next 3 episodes are going to be awesome. All right, I'm telling you, you don't want to miss out on them. So when the time comes, you're gonna need the updates. All right, you're gonna need the updates. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna go to my Instagram, go to the Rec League Pros podcast Instagram, and get all the updates as well too for times, upcoming guests. Go to my Twitter, follow me there. On top of this too, like, comment, subscribe on my YouTube channel, right? I'm gonna be a YouTuber, gonna be famous, all right? Well, not really, I don't know about that, we're only getting a couple listeners here and there. But we're growing though, I'm liking what we're seeing. I want to see some more growth with the YouTube channel, so maybe give a little poke at that subscribe button, all right? If you want to, like the video, maybe comment something nice about me. I don't know. We'll see what happens, all right? But this next episode that I have today is with none other than the infamous Zach Hart, who struck out actually, I shouldn't even say it lightly, the Spencer Torkelson, number 1 pick of the Detroit Tigers in the 2018 Cape Cod League Baseball Championship in 2018 to secure the win for the Wareham Gatemen for the 2018 title. All right. And this guy is not afraid of championships. He's won conference championships in the NE10. He's won regional championships in the NCAA for trips to the College World Series. He's a winner, all right? Plain and simple. He is a winner. And it must be tough to handle for the haters, but who cares? He's a winner. Can't take that away from him. But he, I've known him for quite some time now. I got the opportunity to watch him in Wareham, and he's the first guy I've had from that team on my podcast. And super, super down-to-earth guy, super humble, hardworking. Drafted in the 10th round of the 2019 MLB draft by the Cleveland Indians. Currently playing low single A ball for the Lynchburg Hillcats. none other than Zach Hart, episode 8 of Rec League Pros. You're welcome. Let's get right into the interview. Let's roll the clip. Like the setting.
Thank you. I'm just literally in my car because I don't want to bother my roommates.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, first of all, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. It's been a while. Thought I'd bring some nice memorabilia back from the year 2018. I think you know that year very well.
Yeah.
Due to a couple pitches that you threw against the what was it, the number 1 pick of the 2020 draft, Spencer Torkelson?
Yeah.
One of the best.
Pretty big time guy.
No big deal. But yeah, one of the best summers I ever had. First of all, thank you. Secondly, how is Lynchburg? What is the vibe like down there?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, man. It's cool to get on a podcast and talk again for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Lynchburg, you know, it's not bad, you know. It's a cool little town, you know, no complaints about it.
Yeah.
But you know, just grinding the season away, man.
Yeah.
Got like about a month left, so kind of just, you know, seeing the end of the tunnel coming up here.
Yeah.
With the, you know, we have a bunch of away games that we're about to go to, so, you know, just kind of looking forward to it.
Yeah. And how's the restructure been so far with all the minor league affiliates? Because I know they did a lot of shifting around and so on. I know they moved some teams to different cities. Like I know, for instance, Pawtucket is in Worcester now. I know there's a couple short single A teams that are no longer affiliated with the minors anymore, and so on. So, what has that been different at all? I know you've only been in the league for, I want to say 2 seasons now, but have you noticed any difference?
I think it's brought, well, I like it so far. I think it's helped guys, you know, with the city changes and the teams like switching around and whatnot. I think a lot of teams are closer to you know, their main affiliates, which is nice. I think it's brought more talent to low A because it's all full season now, which is kind of nice, which I like. I think it's good to you know, kind of see what it's like to play a full season at like a level like low A, which is awesome. I think my favorite part though about it is we have the 6-game series, and then every Monday is an off day, which is unreal, man. Like I can't even tell you how nice it is to actually like look forward to an off day every week. And not have to just kind of like, you know, think about like, oh, maybe we'll have a rain out, or like maybe we'll get an off day this month or something like that. Like so I think the one off day a week has actually helped a lot of guys, you know, through the season.
Oh wow! So it's set. So it's like even if it's a rain out or cancellation or anything, you guys still have that off day.
Yeah, and then if we do have a rain out or something like that, it'll just be a doubleheader, 2 7s, which is, you know, it's a little bit of a grind, but it's certainly better than 2 9s. So
yeah. I just went the other day because I live just outside of Portland, so the Sea Dogs are right down the road from me. And I forgot that they're doing 7-inning doubleheaders on the weekends. Yeah. So, you know, they get down the 7th inning and everyone's getting up to leave. I'm like, don't we have like 2 innings left or something? I'm like, what's going on right now? So I was kind of thrown for an 8 ball, and then it was like, oh, I forgot about this. But so we'll get into your pro stuff a little bit down the road. I kind of want to start off a little bit at the beginning of kind of your journey from back as a kid from where you are now. So, I mean, you grew up in Connecticut. Describe a little bit about like your childhood and your upbringing in the sense of like, you know, what were you involved with? Obviously, you know, you're an athletic guy. I know you played basketball and baseball, but you know, what was kind of the vibe like back then, and what were your interests at the time?
I was always a baseball fan, you know, grew up a baseball fan. It's always been something that I've been interested in. Like I was like, cause I grew up a Yankees fan.
Right.
So I was always the biggest, Derek Jeter fan. Like he was my guy. Like I wanted to be that guy. And so that's kind of what sparked my interest in it. And then it just was something that it was just like second nature. Like, that was just my life. I'd wake up and I'd go throw, or I'd wake up and I'd have a game. I'd just go to the field. And like, it's kind of, it's brought me close to people who like my best friends. It's brought me close to my best friends. It's brought me close to people like throughout the years who I consider my family. And so, that kind of journey is always a cool journey to be on, because, if I hadn't grown up playing baseball, then who knows what kind of crowds I would be rolling with right now. So, you know, I that part of the journey is always great. But always love baseball. Always just love being outside. Love just playing sports. Like, my buddy actually just texted me. He's like, "Man, I can't wait for you to get back home so we can go to the YMCA and play basketball." Like, and that kind of thing. I always like to be active. I don't like sitting down. I always like to be doing something. So, sports always just were my way of just, kind of getting out that energy, which is better than doing other stuff. So.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, it's keeping you in shape, which is great, especially as a kid. And you see too many things that like kids get into the wrong groups of people, or
Right.
just kind of sitting inside or whatever. But yeah, sports is always like a big thing, I think, for everyone growing up as a kid. So I mean, yeah, like I think in all agreement, for every person that I've had some like a friendship with or some type of relationship with, in a sense, they've all been involved in sports in a way.
Absolutely.
And I think that part, there's always that one common thing everyone can get along with, because it's such a universal thing. But
Yep.
So obviously you're a baseball fan and so on growing up. When did you kind of realize that you were a lot better than most of your friends? Like when did that kind of set into stone?
I want to say, well, I was pretty much this size when I was like 12. Like I was always that big kid. Like, you see in Little League, you go to the field and you're like, are we sure that kid's supposed to be like playing at this level, like that kind of thing, because he's just so much taller than everyone else. And that was always me growing up. So, it was just kind of the thing where I was just, I was just bigger. It was the easier game. So I had that. And then, obviously the transition to, from the Little League field to the 90-foot diamond is always an interesting one. It takes a year or two to get used to it, but you settle in, and I'm a guy who's always going to compete. So like, I didn't matter who I was playing against, who I was playing with, who was on the field, a freshman playing varsity, like I didn't care. Like I wanted to be there and I wanted to compete as well as I could. So that was kind of my mindset. Always growing up is just compete. So that's kind of what drove me, through those weird places of, being a freshman on varsity or transitioning to the bigger field, like the game becoming harder, like kind of realizing that like, oh, like I'm not the best player on the field anymore. Like I actually have to start working hard to be the best player on the field. And that kind of, that can kill you, or that can help you grow. And I decided that I'm always going to compete. So
yeah. I mean, and I think that's first of all, I want to say you were definitely the kid with the birth certificate, always going to every field. Probably as a kid, there's always that one kid that like, like exactly what you're saying. Like they question the age because you're just so much bigger than everyone else. Yeah, I've run into a scenario. Well, not myself, because I've never been like the biggest guy, but I've always like, whether it was like baseball or basketball growing up, there's always that one kid where like all the parents are like, this kid's like in high school. He's got a full beard, like, what are you guys doing? You're not fooling anyone. And in reality, it's like, no, this kid's actually 12. So were you always just a pitcher, or did you play the field at all too?
I obviously, in Little League, it's you throw the biggest whatever kid at the shortstop. So, you know, that was kind of where I was at. And then, you know, started playing a little bit of first in high school, a little bit of third base, because, you know, that's the time when like the shortstop starts to become like he's like the most athletic guy, and then like the big target you throw at first base or third base, you know, stop some balls in the hot corner and whatnot. So that's kind of where I was thrown at, you know, in high school, which was, you know, it is what it is, man. I liked playing the field and I liked hitting, especially in high school, because still a big guys, because still got the power. So that was nice. But I did love hitting a lot. You know, there was questions about if I wanted to take that to college, you know, with when I was starting to talk to schools and kind of figure out where I want to go to college. It was kind of like, all right, do I want to, you know, maybe try and hit in college, or do I want to just focus on pitching? And ultimately, you know, just wanted to focus on pitching, because I mean, you see a lot of kids that go as a two-way in college, they end up being pitchers anyway, so might as well make the transition early. So that's kind of where I landed at.
Yeah, well, it's like they're throwing like a majority of like, if you're throwing somewhere like high 80s and then low mid 90s, like you're going to be spending most of your time on the mounds, and it's like, like a position guy is like someone that just like if you're it's a Brock Holt scenario, right, where it's like you throw them just to throw someone off, and they throw 30 miles an hour for like a nice like chunk of change, and you may get the occasional strikeout. But like, I've seen that. So I've seen that more often than not, where it's like if there's a kid that's like he's just mowing people down, he's throwing in the 90s, like you're pitching in college. Like there's no question about it.
You're a pitcher. You're not going to be Shohei Ohtani. Just pitch. Just focus on pitching.
Exactly. Well, that whole scenario now is like it's like that he's bringing back like pitching and then like hitting. He's good. I think that's going to be like with basketball. There's the shift of like seeing like the game evolve into just dunks and, you know, big man just dominating a game. Baseball, what I think is going to happen, you're going to see the shift of like, you know, a dual threat pitcher where he can, you know, just chuck 8 strikeouts for the night and then give you 2 homers on top of that too. Yeah. So I think we're going to start seeing that as well, which I think would be really, really cool, because I think the MLB is like due for like a nice cultural shift in a sense, where there's a time to take that jump in an evolution in the game. I think this is like the perfect time.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. I think the whole unwritten rule thing that we have is kind of like, you know, like, oh, pitchers aren't supposed to hit. Well, like, why not?
Yeah.
Like this guy is throwing. I mean, for Shohei Ohtani is obviously a freak of nature. We're not going to see anything like him probably ever again. But like this guy is throwing 8 innings of like one run baseball, and then going and playing right field, and then hitting his 40th home run of the season. Like, what? Like, why not? Like, why don't like? What, obviously, we don't see guys like him because guys aren't good enough to do that. But like why not have a pitcher try and actually hit bombs while pitching? You know,
right.
Like,
well, it's
he's kind of proving that it's possible. You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we're still in the time period too, where it's like everyone that's, you know, in a bullpen, a starter, closer, etc. All they've known is just pitching. That's all they've had to focus on. So they're not going to get EP and stuff like that unless you're in the National League and you're Bartolo Colon. But I mean, like,
he's the original 2-way right there.
Yeah, no, he's the two. He made Shohei Ohtani what Shohei Ohtani is right now. Like I get more of a kick out of someone like Bartolo Colon hitting, you know, a 2-run bomb like once every 5 years than I do like watching like, you know, some like new guy like hit like a 2-run bomb in like the middle of the game where it's like, you know.
Awesome. That's the stuff that just, you know, it brings that like extra excitement, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it's the unexpected stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So in terms of that, so like kind of going back into like high school stuff. So, so you said you played varsity your freshman year.
Yep.
So how did that? How did that help you into kind of like the later end of your high school career?
I think, well, first of all, for any freshman, like it's going to be pretty intimidating because these kids are, 4 years older than you, they got beards and stuff, and you're kind of like, what? Like, I'm supposed to play against these guys? Like, these are full grown men. Like, what, And then, so that's a little bit of intimidation factor, but I think it was good for me to kind of get that over with. Because, it's a realization, like kind of like I mentioned before, is that you're not just going to be the best player, on any diamond you step on. It's just not going to, it's not how it works, dude. There's always going to be someone that's going to be stronger than you. There's someone that throws harder, someone hits balls further. So it's like getting that out of the way when I was like 14 was a good realization, and it kind of just set it in my head, like, all right, like clearly there's more talent out there. So making that realization, I think, is just it helps drive you further to kind of take that extra step,
Yeah.
just like put yourself above where you're at, right now. So I think that's the main thing that helped me my freshman year was, kind of making that realization, and actually seeing it, like, stepping on a mountain as a freshman and pitching against these dudes who look like full grown men. It's it can be a little scary.
Well, I mean, it's nice that you were able to do that though, because if you kind of look at it, college it's the same scenario, except there is no freshman or JV team. It is, you get picked for that team, and when you play,
Right.
You're going against all, at times, close to 30-year-old men sometimes. Because you got a lot of guys that can play extra years and transfers and so on. So
Right.
I think that anyone that's doing that their freshman year, I think that like helps them in the long run once they get into college. So
Absolutely, it's very similar feeling, going into college too. So
yeah, so with that, so what was kind of like your recruiting process like? To walk me through that a little bit, because I mean, obviously you went the Division II route, which for the majority of people I've had on so far have been Division II athletes. So I always wonder too, with all of them, what their kind of process was, and were they looking to go D1, or were they just kind of like that kind of wasn't an option at the time?
I mean, for me, yeah, D1 was definitely an option. I kind of got recruited by a good majority of most of the Division I schools in the New England area. I wasn't really looking outside of New England. I could have, but I didn't really want to, traveling far for school is kind of a hassle. So I had no problem with staying local. But there were a couple teams that I actually did want to want to go to, but it was mostly what drove me to go to Franklin Pierce was mostly just like the winning culture that they had there, like, because my senior year of high school, I was looking at this team, and these guys just went 46-2, in the regular season, and I was like, hey, like that's insane. Like I'm looking at, I'm like, how are these guys much different than Division I players, So, and I kind of talked about that same thing with with my travel ball coaches, because obviously they're there to help you through the whole process. So, and one of my coaches was like, if you want to go win a championship and not just kind of grind out 4 years of just losing, and maybe have a chance at a conference championship, then go to Pierce, because you're going to win, and you're gonna that's it. You're not gonna lose when you go there. And I was like, that kind of stuck in my head, and I was like, like that's a good look. Like that's a good look to be always winning, and I kind of like that. So, that definitely played into the the decision. And obviously Coach King was there, and he's, a legendary coach, so it was kind of like looking at that situation, I just thought it was a good fit for me.
Yeah. So what were like what were your kind of like your aside from peers, what were maybe a couple choices that were maybe like a close second or something?
A
I'm
close
curious
second
about
was
that.
a close second was definitely University of Maine.
Okay.
I visited there. Their coach brought me and my family on a the whole tour of the campus and all the facilities and whatnot. And I was in awe at the place, man. That place is beautiful.
Yeah.
He brought us out to dinner at a restaurant there, and I was kind of like, damn, maybe this is the spot I want to go. And it's a hard decision to do that, but at the same time with that, they were talking about academics and stuff like that, and there were talks about me taking the SATs again to like get more money from the school, and that's kind of something that I wasn't really interested in. I didn't really, I'd taken my SATs, I I did fine on them, and for them to kind of like talk about bring up that conversation, it was just kind of like a red flag for me.
Mhm.
So that kind of threw me off a little bit. And Pierce, it was pretty straightforward. I went there, they gave me the offer. He said, you have until this date to tell me. And I was like, all right, that's fine. Like, let's do it. Let's see where this goes. So, and obviously, I couldn't couldn't ask for much more out of that decision.
Yeah.
But I also know University of Hartford, they recruited me pretty hard. The only problem about that situation was, first of all, Coach Blood there. I think he's I forget where I think he left now, but him and my dad are still very close. They still talk and whatnot because he was a great guy. He went to Pierce. He played for Coach King, which is kind of cool. They recruited me pretty hard, but they also didn't have any money up front for my first year, and that was kind of something that was like, do I want to just go for a roster spot and maybe get money next year? That's kind of, a question mark. Isn't really what I was looking for, so that kind of fell through. So Pierce just kind of fell into my lap a little bit, and it just seemed like the right decision.
Yeah, you made it kind of interesting when you brought that up, because I had two friends I went to high school with that ended up playing for UMaine. So you would have been part of that recruiting class, which would have been kind of interesting. They both ended up transferring. The thing about UMaine, like the coach they have now, I think he kind of has stuff set in stone, but they've gone through a couple of coaches within the last couple of years, which has just been like it's a beautiful campus and stuff like that, but it's all the way up in northern Maine.
It's far.
Yeah.
I'm from Connecticut, man. That's an 8-hour drive.
Dude, I live in Maine. I know how far that is. It's crazy, and
it's a damn near flight, dude.
Oh, that's an understatement. Like, so where I grew up, I was on the border of Maine and New Hampshire. To get to Bangor is almost a 3-hour drive. It's insane how far up north it is, and it's close as hell to the Canadian border. So,
and Maine is huge, man. Like, I'm pretty much like right now in Virginia. I'm almost just as far from my hometown as UMaine is from my hometown. It's just the opposite direction. But it's crazy to think that I'm in Virginia, but it's the same distance.
Yeah. It's so understated how big of a state it is, and not a lot of people realize it. To be honest, growing up here, I didn't realize it either. But so the next kind of subject I want to get into with Pierce is Jason King. I mean, you got the opportunity to play with him or be coached by him for a year before he ended up taking the job as associate head coach of Army, and then now he's at Dayton. The accolades speak for itself. I mean, the guy's won multiple conference championships, been to the College World Series on numerous occasions, almost won a College World Series. and right off the bat, you get the chance to be coached by him and be coached for what in the 4 years I was there, arguably the best team in the 4 years I went to school. And I think you would argue too, you would say you while you were part of the program. So
Yeah.
What was he like as a coach in, you know, for you getting the opportunity to play right as a freshman too? How did he kind of help develop you for that next season?
It was nice because as a freshman coming in, it was, you know, you're not looking at a ton of playing time no matter how good you are. So it was nice to come out of the pen, you know, get a couple appearances in. I think I had maybe 1 or 2 spot starts my freshman year, which was kind of nice because that kind of introduces you to the starting role, which obviously I fell into my sophomore year and that just carried through. But to have a couple of spot starts freshman year was definitely good for me because the transition to high school to college is a little bit, you know, it's a little bit crazy. So that was nice. But, you know, playing for King was just, some coaches just they set the precedent, and the overall vibe of it is just, you know, it's you're not going to lose. Like he's not going to deal with any, you know, can I swear? We're on podcast, right?
Yeah, we're on, dude. I could be less on the pod. Yes, cuss. I don't care at all, man. But he's
a no bullshit guy. It's no bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not. If you're you know, if you're late, you're screwing around. If you don't bring the winning attitude and the winning atmosphere, then you're done. He's not going to deal with that. So having that my freshman year definitely set the precedent for the rest of my college career, that this is what this program is about, you know. And that kind of it was nice to at least have that for that year. I mean, you know, because being a guy, you know, especially my senior year, who was, you know, seen as kind of like a leader on that team, and one of the only guys who was still, I think there was only like maybe 4 or 5 guys from my class who maintained all the way through for all the 4 years. You know, the guys they either got hurt or transferred or, you know, this, that, and the other thing. Kind of bringing that through 4 years certainly helped me, you know, and playing for a guy like that is it's gonna certainly help your career, because you see it, you know, you see what it's like. We went 44-4 my freshman year in the regular season. We made it to a World Series, you know, knowing what it's like and knowing that feeling, that's something that you're going to be chasing for the next 4 years, you know, with or without Jason King. So it's kind of, it was nice to have that.
Yeah. And then on top of that too, because I mean, that program is one of the best programs in the country for Division II. I mean, you look at, I mean, the staples, there's like, to me, there's 4 different parts of the U.S. that have the top baseball teams in the country. And for the Northeast, when you think of the Northeast for baseball, and you think of SNU, and you think of Franklin Pierce. Those are really the only two heavy hitting big time teams that are consistently over the last couple of decades have competed each and every year in the NCAA tournament, College World Series, etc. I mean, you have some triple-in teams like Adelphi has had some really good teams. University of New Haven, who else could I think of? I mean, some ECC teams like NYIT had that really good team in 2019.
I remember that
with Frank. Well, my best friend played for Tech, so I get to know some of the guys on that team. That was probably their best season they ever had. It's kind of a shame what happened in that school, but
that was tough because they had signed a really good head coach. I mean, he was it
was Frank Catalanato. He is a former MLB player. Like
he wasn't bad, dude.
Yeah, it's like, and like they, they fucked that whole school over. It was ridiculous. But I don't want to make it all about tech. But you know, back to my whole point. It was like Pierce and SNU were always, to me, the two teams there. So it's like, yeah, it's great. Like, it's crazy to think, like, yeah, that's the winning mentality you need to have, and if you don't have it, get off my fucking field. Like,
exactly,
and that's how it should be.
And yeah, if you don't maintain that, and you don't, if you don't make sure that you keep that, if you let, those guys who come in and, and they don't really give a shit, those guys hang around, and that's how it starts. That's how those programs kind of flip on their head a little bit. And, King wasn't about that. So,
Yeah.
and I appreciated that. He was a hard-headed guy, and, you either love him or you hate him. And if you were on his good side, then you were on his good side. If you were on his bad side, then, well, good luck getting back on his good side, because he's gonna keep moving forward, and he's gonna forget about you.
Yeah. And so here's the question I always kind of pondered, because you guys usually have about like a 40 man roster, so normally. And there's always, like your freshman year, for every incoming class, there's always a good chunk of incoming freshmen for baseball. And then you kind of, so was there?
Yeah.
And you always hear the same thing from all of them too. They all had a scholarship to come and so on. And then you hear about this tryout, and they come, and the next thing you know, they're gone after October. So it's like, was there like,
everyone has a guaranteed roster spot, right?
Yeah. So how does that? Is it just like a lot of people BSing that, or was there was there kind of like maybe a sense of like they were told something, they weren't necessarily, it wasn't a follow through? I don't really know the specifics, and that was just kind of like a grapevine thing, because like a quarter of the incoming classes were always baseball guys. It's interesting.
Yeah. It's so it's, how do you get someone to go to your school?
Right.
You say you'll come and you'll get innings. You'll have a roster spot, all that stuff. And you get there, and it's like, oh, there's a lot of freshmen here, like,
yeah,
shit, like, oh boy, there's a lot more talent here than I thought. And that's kind of how you weed them out. Some guys can't handle it, and it is what it is. But at the end of the day, the best player is going to play.
right.
And I don't care who you are as a freshman, you're not looking at a lot of playing time. Right. I don't care who it is, And if you're a freshman and you're looking at an immediate start, then you probably went to the wrong school. So, it's kind of one of those situations where they got to get these guys to come to the school somehow. And guys like to hear that they're going to play. Whether it's true or not, they hear that and they like it. So, these guys show up, and if they kill it, they'll play.
Yeah.
But, sometimes the whole gravity of it, you see the upperclassmen, and, and they don't treat freshmen very well. And a lot of guys can't handle that. So, it's a combination of a lot of things that I think drives some of the freshmen out. But either way, regardless, whether it's injuries, maybe they're not working hard enough, maybe they can't handle the team morale, all that stuff. One way or another, those the very few that push through are going to push through.
Well, to me, it's always the guys that come in with the big ego off the bat. That to me is always the guy that's like, you don't actually play, and you came in with this mentality like, I'm going to run the school, and that's not how that works. It's a harsh reality of sports half the time. But I was always curious about that, because like I remember coming in freshman year, because I back in my heyday, I was an athlete for like 2.5 years. I was a walk-on tennis player, which at that time the tennis team was not very good. But I just remember like you guys had more recruits than I did. I did my entire men's tennis team. I was like, you guys. You guys. I was like, this is insane. And I was like, how many guys like do they have? And then you actually see like, oh, okay, now I see. And you're right too. Like, every freshman I've seen, with the exception of like pitchers, because I mean, you were coming out of the bullpen. You obviously had a couple starts. I remember Tanner Putnam was another guy too that was a freshman that pitched a lot too. That was more of a relieving guy, but got the opportunity. But
right.
a lot. But I mean, if you were a freshman and you thought you were going to play on that, like start on that team that year, I mean,
then you got something wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a guy. You're talking about probably one of the best guys to have played as a position player at Franklin Pierce and J. Jabs. You had a all-star caliber outfield in Max Sheehan, Chris Labornier, Max Tatondo, like Brad Roberto, who you played with for quite a few years, and he was a good player too. He wasn't even touching the field his sophomore year. I remember I got to meet him right out the gate. He didn't make it his freshman, and he was a guy, and that was one of those guys that like he was a Little League World Series guy. Like he played with some great players in California, and he came all the way up here and didn't get the opportunity. So it goes to show the talent level. But
dude, that walking into a place with that much talent will absolutely humble you, man. It humbles everyone. Everyone that walks in that place gets humbled, and it's like if you don't get humbled by the amount of talent that's around you, like the upperclassmen that are clearly like way above where you're at right now, then it'll be just because it's a hard-nosed program, man. Like it's very blue collar. Nothing's given. You got to earn your shit. You got to earn your playing time. Nothing's given to you. I don't care how much money you got in your scholarship. I don't care what you did in high school. You need the minute you step onto the field at Pierce, you earn every inning of playing time. You earn every at bat. You earn every hitter you face. Right. So, and a lot of guys, because you see this everywhere. I see this now at the level I'm at still. A lot of guys think that they are above earning what they should get. Right. And that is completely washed away at Pierce. Yeah. They think, oh, you think, because you got, whatever fucking 50% scholarship out of high school and you struck out 1 million guys in your whatever little town that you played in. Well, congrats on that. We don't care. Like, we don't give a shit.
Mm-hmm. So, and coming off that, I mean, the talent that you guys had the freshman year, I mean, you had 2 guys that got drafted. You had multiple guys that were all conference players and so on. Describe just what that season was like start to finish and what it was like to have the opportunity to play in the College World Series.
I mean, from the moment that I got there, you recognize how much talent is there. It was ridiculous. We had so much talent. Here's how good that team was. We lost 2 of our starters, our starting pitchers, which in Miles Sheehan, who coming off of a season where he had a fucking .29 ERA over like 60 whatever innings pitched, which is absolutely absurd. And Mike London, who was, the 2-seam dream guy throwing invisibles. We lost both those guys before the season even started and went 44-4 and still went to the College World Series.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't even imagine what we would have done if that team was completely healthy. Hold on, I'm getting some notifications here. All right, we're good. Sorry, I got an NFL fantasy draft coming up. I gotta draft some guys soon. But it's playing on that team kind of opens your eyes a little bit to exactly how much talent is out there and how much, like, where these guys come from. Like, they come out of nowhere. Like, Jay Jabs, fucking, he's from, like, a small town in Pennsylvania, coming to Pierce, and he just breaks the home run record. Like, those are just the type of guys we get there. And as a freshman, you can either, use that to fuel your fire, or you can be like, damn, like, I don't know if I can do this, and, I'm obviously very, very, like, grateful that King kept me for the whole season, even for the College World Series, which was, the opportunity to go there was that was awesome. That was, and we should have won that shit too. We absolutely could have won that. We played the team who won it in the first round, and they walked off on us in 12 innings, and that was a tough one. That was tough to swallow, especially as a freshman. I was like damn, like, because when you see, like, older guys, like the upperclassmen, like, when you're that young, you see the upperclassmen, when you see how much it means to them, then it's like, oh shit, like, this is, like, real, this means something. So it was a pretty crazy experience, actually, going there and seeing that firsthand.
And right, yeah. I mean, that was a pretty unbelievable journey, and I mean, that to this day, like, I think if we look back at it, I would put that against any of the teams that came out of the East Regional that year for the last 4 years in the College World Series. All those guys would have been smoked. And you're right. If you had Miles Sheehan, you had Mike London, like, Paul Cadelli was your ace, and he had a phenomenal year that year. If you had those two guys, and they pitched the way they did the year before, game over. Like, good luck trying to win a game. So
it was wraps. I don't think we would have lost. I don't think we lost the game.
Yeah.
But then again, I probably wouldn't have been on the roster for the, so.
Maybe, but who knows? Who knows? You might have been a bullpen guy, might not have been.
Yin-yang, I guess. But.
Right. But so after that year, King obviously leaves, and then Mike Chambers steps in. So and I mean, you had some good years there. I mean, you won one conference championship. You went to the you went to the NCAA tournament 2 out of the 3 years. 1 year, I think you guys should have been there. You guys got cheated out of it, but that's just a debate for everyone. But
just, something that happens.
Yeah, but what was the difference in his style compared to King's style?
I think it was very similar, because him being under King for so long that, nothing really, as far as, like, the format of how everything worked, nothing there really changed. It's but obviously anytime a head coach leaves and someone has to step into that role, it's going to be a shock to the system, and guys don't always react or respond to the same, they're not going to respond to the same coach differently. It's like, so, like, it's the overall, atmosphere is gonna change. And I think it got a little more laid back. I'm not gonna badmouth Chambers at all, because I think he's a great coach. But the atmosphere does change, and it's going to be a shock to the system.
Yeah.
And now, and King left him with a lot of recruits.
Right.
And you're taking a year or two to kind of figure out, like, what kind of team are we? We're obviously nasty, but what kind of atmosphere is this going to be? How are we going to play? What are we, exactly what's going on here? You know what I'm saying? So that, I think, for that 1 year, that kind of was the feel of it, where it was a little bit of, like, who are we as a team? And I think that kind of shifted into, like, more of a winning feel my junior year, the year after that. So, you know, like anything, it doesn't matter who takes over, what coach takes over. You're gonna have to take a year to kind of figure yourself out. So, and that's kind of what the feel was that first year. We weren't exactly sure who was playing where, like, you know. So it was just kind of felt like a little bit of a mess for 1 year, and then after that we kind of figured it out.
Yeah.
But that one, and that, you know, granted, I think that was the 1 year we got cheated out of regionals, right? Like my sophomore year.
Yeah, I think it was either your sophomore or your junior year. I don't remember which one exactly. You guys had made it to the conference championship game against New Haven. You had lost, and when they announced the tournament, they didn't pick you guys. That kind of shocked me, because then you realize, like, there's some politics that play to how the NCAA works. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I don't really know Mike Chambers very well. What I would say is, I think it's tough to be dealt a hand that he was his first year in, because you're coming off of the World Series. You get a lot of recruits, but you also lost a lot of your line. So I think that was a tough route to figure it out. I think he did the best job he could, and I don't think he's done bad. I think ultimately, what you say was, it's going to be a different personality, it's going to be a different vibe, and it's going to be up to, I think, the people that are part of the culture to begin with, to kind of move forward and bring that on. And I think, for the most part, I think you guys had a good group of guys that were still part of the King era, that still was no bullshit, no ego attitude. I mean, like, when you have a guy like Nate Matarazzo on your team, like, he's gonna keep you in check. Like, let's be honest here. Like, he's a no bullshit guy. So
I'll tell you what, if someone does something that he sees is wrong, he's gonna call you out on your shit. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So, and I mean, I lived next to the kids, so, my senior year. So I knew what he's like. I mean, he was not someone you want to get on your bad side, on his bad side. He was I always had good interactions with him, but yeah, definitely.
No, I love it.
Yeah,
he's the man.
Yeah. So I got kind of like a joking question to ask you, and don't take don't take the whole vibe thing personally. So, there's always this riff of, teams getting pegged at Pierce as these certain egotistical people, right? So I gotta ask this, and on your opinion, I feel like the baseball team gets pegged as, like, these, like, no good son of a bitch assholes that think they're better than everyone else. I gotta ask, why is that? Like, why? Like, is it just because of, like, the talent, and how the success, or is it just like, there's a couple bad eggs and it kind of falls into a reflection of the team or something? Because, like, the interactions I've had, so, like, I've always had really good interactions with you. Like, you're a great standout guy, super nice, humble.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, Octave, great guy.
Of course.
Matt Michaels is hilarious. Tim Goings is hilarious. The interactions I've had with Nate Matarazzo has always been civil. I don't really know him that well, but seems like a nice enough guy. I mean, the Brad Roberto, I was really good. I would consider a friend. He was a funny guy to hang out with too.
Right.
So, why was that the case? Just out of curiosity.
I think, in my opinion, you take a bunch of dudes from New England and you throw them in like a blue collar type vibe with a team who does nothing but win, then they're gonna come off, I think, as douchebags. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, these guys, obviously, it's a winning atmosphere, and everyone knows that. Like, you go 46-2 in a regular season, and you go to the College World Series, then you're gonna walk around like you went to the College World Series, you know, like. But I think it was a combination of that and the fact that it was a winning atmosphere combined with like a blue collar like feel to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like it was like we're winning, but like we earned that shit.
Okay.
So we're gonna like let you know that we earned that shit. You know, nothing was given to us.
Right.
So we did it. We're Division II. Like we don't have the best facilities at Pierce. You know, we don't get whatever. We don't have the glove deals. We don't have the equipment handed to us that all these D1 places have. Nothing's given to us. We're grinders, and like we make the absolute most out of it. And I think that's kind of the feel that goes along with that team. And I think that can come off as a little bit douchey, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, every team had a group of guys that had that attitude. There's no pointing it past. It was always a curious thought to me because it was like oh, the baseball team sucks. It's like those fucking assholes and so on. So, I mean, I think I mean, at least the ones I've interacted with, I had no issues with. Like, I mean, I out of all of them, I think the one I knew fairly well was Tim because so my best friend, and he went to Tech, and he had, and one of my friend's teammates was friends with Tim, so it was kind of like a, intertwined type thing, and and like Tim's hilarious, so it's like something that comes out of his mouth, like especially when get a couple of Bud Lights in them, it's gonna be entertaining to hear. So yeah, at least the guys I've interacted with were always pretty cool guys. But
yeah, I think if people were to actually give some guys a chance, I think it would be a little bit. But like, like where someone says these baseball teams are douchebag, people love drama, they're just gonna go with it,
Yeah. And that's a school that thrives off the ego drama stuff. So
it is what it is.
Yeah, but it's entertaining, but it's also kind of like, get over it. But
yeah,
the next right. But next topic, Cape Cod League. I had the privilege to watch one of the greatest assembled teams I have ever seen in my entire life. We're talking one of the best like fielding teams, period. I mean, you had Golden Spikes Player of the Year that year, Andrew Vaughn, 3rd overall pick. He's with the White Sox now. He's had a pretty good season on your team.
In the show.
Oh yeah. Bryson Stott.
Just played the Futures game.
Yeah. Phillies organization 1st round pick. Yourself, you got drafted by the Indians. Yeah. Oh my God. Like, Kate Cavalli was on your team. He didn't get drafted that following year. I mean, the list goes.
He got paid.
Austin Shenton.
He was leading all minor leagues in doubles pretty recently, but he recently broke his thumb, I think, which is,
So that's
I feel horrible for that.
Yeah. So that's what. Okay, I thought I saw something where I know season had ended, but I didn't know what exactly. I had the impression it might have been like an ACL tear or something, which I did not want to wish upon anyone. But like,
I always feel horrible for stuff. I feel horrible for that. He was having an unbelievable year. He's an unbelievable guy too. So
yeah,
it's just something that you're just like you just can't help but feel horrible for him.
Mm-hmm. But describe that summer, because I mean, you started off because the Cape League, it's a top tier league for summer collegiate baseball. You get all the notoriety, you get the looks from scouts, but it's a cutthroat league too. If you're not performing, you get cut right off the bat.
Oh yeah,
and we saw, especially with Wareham, you saw a lot of guys in and out, and you never knew when your day was to come. And I got scared with you at one point. I think we were going to YD, and your name was off the roster.
Yeah.
And I was like, no fucking way they just cut this guy. And then you were there, and I was like, oh, what the hell's going on? So
I remember my dad texted me that day, and he was like, "Why the hell are you not on the roster?" I was like, "Relax, they're putting me on like the permanent roster." He was like, "Okay, good."
Gotcha. So just describe what that summer meant to you, because that was by far, I mean, that's what got me to fall back in love with watching and keeping up with baseball, was just that summer. So what was that like for you from a player perspective?
That team was a prime example of, you put a random group of guys together and they just kind of mesh. You know, like every guy is a friendly guy. Every guy is there to win. They're there to have fun playing baseball, and that's it. So it was a great vibe with that team. There was never a bad day. You know, people, guys make errors, whatever. Like guys go 0 for 4, whatever. Guys, give a couple runs, whatever. Who cares? Like it was kind of just one of those things where it's like you fail, but like it's okay. Your teammates are gonna automatically pick you up. Every guy there was there for a good reason. Nobody was kind of like, you see it all the time in summer ball where guys just, they just want to go home.
Right.
They're not there. They're not there to win a championship. They're not there to, they don't even care. Like they don't care. So, and there was none of that on the team at all. It was all just guys who were just happy to be there, happy to be playing ball, and they all wanted to win. So, and that's kind of was just the overall feel for that entire year, which I absolutely loved. And that just turns into a winning feel. And plus, obviously, all the talent that we had was ridiculous. So it kind of made that easy. But you see it, you can see it a lot. It happens a lot of times where teams have all the talent in the world, but nobody really wants to be there, so they're just going to lose. And there was none of that on that team. And especially when playoffs came around, that we were kind of like, well, we're here, like might as well just win the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, and it just kind of rolled. It just kind of, it just kind of happened naturally, which was awesome. So I can't say enough good things about that team. And obviously the coaches too. Don Sneddon, great guy. He would bring us all before the game. We'd show up and like we'd have like, a little bit of practice and whatnot. And he would kind of just talk to us about taking full advantage of what you have in front of you. And he gave us those talks a lot, and those kind of resonated a little bit. Jim Lawler was the pitching coach there. I still talk to him, pretty regularly. He's a great guy. So it just was a good atmosphere. It was a fun atmosphere, and everyone was there to have fun playing baseball. So
yeah, and I think Don's back with Wareham now, because he left the year after you guys won, and then obviously they didn't have a season. Yeah, I just read something about it, because I still keep in contact with some of the interns that I was with, and they had sent an article saying that he was going to come back, not as the head.
I think I saw that too.
Yeah, not as the head manager. I think just like as an assistant, maybe like a first base coach or third base. But I know he's coming back for a summer, which was cool. And yeah, he was definitely a good coach. The interesting thing about that team to me was like the sense of, because it had all the USA guys stayed on that team, I think we would have had that year. We would have had the best record in the Cape too.
Probably.
But I mean, they all ultimately left for Team USA and then didn't come back in the summer. So we had a lot of guys in and out. That was, you guys had a tough patch, I think, towards the end of the season. But the thing was, like, you guys stayed the course as well too. And I think when the last 10 games came about, I came into a realization where it's like, oh well, I think we might have a chance. And then when the playoffs came around and YD got knocked out by Brewster in that first round, I was like, if we can just get past, I think, Falmouth, we're fine. So that was a great season. Now, the biggest part of that, and my favorite part, because I actually got the opportunity to film it, and it is on that Wareham YouTube channel, what we brought up earlier, struck out the Spencer Torkelson, the number one pick by the Detroit, words are hard, the Detroit Tigers of last year's draft.
Yep.
I think he won the Golden Spikes, or he would have. No, I don't think he did win. I know he's a finalist one year or something, but
he was a finalist all 3 years he was there.
Yeah, I know he lost. Yeah, I mean I know Vaughn won it one year. Then it was Adley Rutschman, and then I don't think they had a season in 2020. So they.
Yeah, that's good. I don't think anyone won it.
Yeah, he probably would have won it, but
he definitely would have been close if he didn't.
Yeah. So it's the last inning of the game, 2 outs. You're 1 out away from winning a Cape Cod League title. You're going up against him. Walk me through what was going through your mind in that at bat.
It was kind of at first it was like, of course, it's like he's got to be the guy. I got to get through to win this game. But it was kind of just like at that point, it didn't really matter who was in the box. It was just kind of one of those feelings where I'm gonna get this guy out regardless of what he does. And I remember, Gian Martellini was my catcher at that point, and it was also another great guy, great catcher, great play. Yeah, he called a ready changeup on him, and I don't really throw those, so because they tend to leave the yard sometimes. So I was kind of just like, all right, sure, I'll throw a ready change with Spencer Torkelson, I guess. And he hit it probably about 600 feet foul.
Yeah.
And this is something that me and my roommate talk about a lot, especially this season, because we're in the bullpen for hours on end just talking about bullshit. And whenever someone hits a foul home run, they're going to strike out. And that's something that we've caught on, and it's checked out a lot this season. And I saw the foul home, he hit a foul home run, and I was like, all right, that could have gone really bad, but like, we're going to get him on a slider here. And I ended up, getting him. And I was just kind of thinking, I was like, please don't leave this down the middle. And that's kind of my thought process before I throw any pitch. But it was that was an incredible feeling for that game to end like that, man. And it just felt right,
Well, it's like a rewarding thing for me too, because it was like, I'm witnessing like the pure sky, and I'm on the field filming you doing it, and I get to walk. I mean, like any other intern, not on the field. Me and the photographer, it was Caroline Lounsford, I think was her name. Only 2 people had field passes for that entire group of interns. So it's like, that was super cool too. I mean, that was I think that I put a video together at the end of the season. It was like that whole playoff run. It's like over like 2,000 views or something. It's one of the most viewed videos that's on that YouTube channel. Like, I'll go back to it every now and then, and it's like so cool to just like kind of like refresh your memory of like what that season was like, and just like the snippets of it. So
I think about that season a lot, man. That was, it was just like, it kind of, everything just kind of fell into place for that season. It was just an unbelievable experience,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and everyone was just proud of just what they accomplished, whether it was the players, the coaching staff, the people running the booths, the people that were volunteers. Like, it was like a community group effort put forward, and I think that was just awesome. So,
oh yeah.
So do you feel like that season 2 boosted your draft stock a little bit? Because I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
Because you progressed, which I think was great. So, and there's a lot of scouts there. So
Yeah, there was, yeah, man. There's the amount of scouts you see in the Cape is just absolutely insane. So I'd be an idiot to say that didn't boost my draft stock, especially after that championship game. Because especially with the Indians, they talk about, not just having success, but being on like winning teams, and I think that's something that they look for. They look for, guys, not only, it's not just the guys who are throwing well, striking everyone out, or just hitting a bunch of home runs, batting 400. It's the guys who want to be there late in the season. It's the guys who want to work for, that end goal, which is essentially just win everything you do. It's not enough just to, succeed on the mound. It's succeed as a team.
Right.
And I think that's something that the Indians value, and I think that's overlooked a little bit, in the scouting department. So
yeah,
which I love that about it. So
right, which then that's a really cool like way to look at it as well too. So like if that's how an organization is looking at it, I think it's a win-win situation for you. Now,
absolutely.
When you got drafted, where were you and what was going through your mind then? Because I think you were the highest pick from the NE10 that year.
I think so.
Because I know the year before it was some kid on the Moines, and now it's the 5th round, which I was like, holy shit.
Josiah Gray.
Yes, I was like, wow. But 10th round, Cleveland Indians, you did it. How'd you feel?
Oh, I mean, that was probably that was the single, best moment of my entire life, I think. It was actually funny because I was kind of just, hanging around all day, and it was the second day of the draft, and I had talked to my agent, and he was, kind of telling me, he was like, I'm going to try and get you to go on the second day. You're a senior sign, so you're not going to sign for a lot of money, so I'm just going to try and get you to go high. So thanks to him, all of a sudden, I remember my phone was about to die, and the day was about to be over. And I was like, it was the 10th round, and I was kind of just watching the draft tracker, even though they tell you shouldn't watch it. I was watching it, and my phone was going to die. It was getting towards the end of the day. I was like, whatever, like, it's not going to happen today. Oh, well, maybe tomorrow. So I remember I had gone upstairs, and I had plugged my phone in, and within like 30 seconds of me plugging my phone in, I get a text from my agent. He was like, yo, 10th round Indians. And I was like, I don't care what the deal is. Yes, just say yes to anything they tell you. He was like, I already knew that was the answer, but yeah, okay. So I think it was like 5 minutes later or something like that. I got a call from their I think it was this, or I don't know if it was the scout that drafted me or the head scouting guy, but I don't know, it was kind of a blur. But they said, hey, congratulations, we're taking you to the 10th round. I'm sure you know that by now. You'll get more details within the next day or two. Go celebrate with your family. So that was, that's kind of when it was like, oh shit, it happened. Like, so, and then I think they were still announcing them on ESPN. So I saw my name pop up on ESPN. I saw my name pop up on the draft tracker. I was like, damn, it's fucking set in stone. Let's go. Time to party.
Yeah.
So within like an hour, I think my parents had all our family and friends over, popping champagne, just drinking, having a good time, trying to celebrate. So that was, it was probably the best day of my life, at least, man. That's the day that dream actually becomes a reality. So
right.
It's an unbelievable feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I could only imagine. Anyone that's given the opportunity to play professional baseball or any professional sport, rather not, is like it's ultimately a surreal feeling. Now the test to that though is getting to the ultimate goal, which is getting the opportunity to get to the bigs. obviously we've seen success with some alumni from Pierce. You've seen Steve Hathaway get the nod from Arizona. Seen Kevin McGowan for the Mets. I actually got to see Steve Hathaway pitch against the Red Sox one year, so that was kind of cool.
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah. So for you, what's Cleveland in a sense giving you for, like, are they giving you kind of like progression goals year by year, or is it kind of just like, you know, just this is what you need to do to get to the next
level? You know, as a minor leaguer, no one really tells you much. So it's kind of just grind your ass off. Maybe you'll get a call, get called up. Maybe you won't. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Keep your head down and work hard. And that's kind of what I've been doing, you know. I think it's more of like a year by year thing for me, because I think the average MLB debut age is like 28 or something like that. And I'm 24 right now. I'm in low A. So, you know, I guess we're right on schedule right now, you know, for progressing year by year.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, you know, it's absolutely a business, and they don't tell you much. You know, it's kind of just like compete your ass off and you'll probably eventually get a chance if you're doing well. So that's kind of how, you know, the approach I'm taking for these next coming years of my baseball career. And you know, I'm here to maximize my, like, absolutely maximize my ability. So, and that's just kind of what I've been trying to do. You know, keep your head down and work hard, and hopefully good things will come.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, you're definitely doing that. I mean, from what I've seen, 3.6 something ERA, 5-1 out of the 10. Like,
mm-hmm.
The numbers are showing like you're doing all right. So,
yeah.
And I've seen the clips. So it's you know, you're throwing some shit, you're throwing some guys by you a little bit. So it, like, time will tell. Time will tell. When we see Zach Hart, you know, striking out, you know, Shohei in the next couple of years, maybe we will, maybe we won't. I don't know yet. But my last,
that's the goal.
Yeah, that's definitely the goal. I mean, hey, you struck out Torque, and Torque will be there eventually, and he'll be hitting bombs. If you can strike him out, the sky's the limit, right? Only up from here. So we're talking PE. So my last question for you, and I'll let you go because I know you got a fantasy draft to get to. Top 5 players you played with your entire career. Could be high school, college,
top 5 players,
summer collegiate league. You know, I mean, it's kind of a cheap thing to do. You know, playing in the minors now, but.
I mean, yeah, I've played with some absolute studs just this year alone, so it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to put them in order, but
no specific order.
Well, starting with college, obviously, you know, Jay Jabs was the guy in college. Mm-hmm. He had all the talent in the world. So I think, you know, having him in there only seems right. So far this year, Andrew Vaughn, obviously, Cape League. He's already in the big leagues. That's an obvious one. I mean, it's hard to just choose 5 because there's so many names coming to my mind right now. This year, I played with John Kenzie Noel.
Okay.
And he's probably the best hitter I've played with in recent years. The guy maintained a 400 average over his time here in low A. He's in high A now. He got promoted recently, but I've never seen someone hit a ball like this guy can hit a ball. To put it in perspective, here's a little funny story for you. So earlier this year, he got hurt. He went back to Arizona, and he got out here. His first series back, I think it was, honestly, it might have been his first game. First 2 ABs of this game. First at bat, 495-foot bomb. 490. This kid's 19, 20 years old, I think. 495. I think it was like 115 or 116 off the bat or something like that. Next AB, 485.
Oh shit.
Yeah. This guy had almost 1,000 feet of home runs in 2 at bats in one game. When I tell you, this ball, I've never seen a ball hit so hard that it disappears during a fucking day game.
You're just up. You're like, where'd it go? You're trying to figure it out.
Yeah. We were like, yo, we don't know where that landed, bro. Like, the sun is out. We should have seen where that ball landed. We have no idea where it landed.
That's like pure talent. And then like the sound probably off the bat too. You like if it's a bomb like that, you know what the sound is like right off it. It's like that.
Oh, yeah.
It's like unlike any other sound. Ridiculous.
The ball jumps differently off his bat, man. It's ridiculous. So he's obviously in there. Daniel Espino is probably one of the most pure, like, just baseball, like just like a thrower of baseballs I've ever seen in my entire life. You know, you don't see a guy like him too often.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've read about him before.
Yeah.
That guy's a freak. That's the best I can describe it is he's a freak of nature. You don't see too many guys like him.
I mean, especially at that age too, if he, in the way he seems to kind of have the flow of that level of baseball, in a sense, figured out for low A, and hopefully high A. I mean, he's only been there for a little while, but we'll see how.
Well,
we'll see how he does.
He currently has a 21 Ks per 9 in high A. So
yeah, I mean, sky's the limit for the kid. When you have
oh my God, I can't say enough good things about him as well. He is extremely humble. One of the nicest people you ever talk to in your entire life. Like, if you ever get a chance to talk to him, I mean, dude, he is just a good guy, great athlete, great baseball player. There's literally nothing wrong with him. It's actually insane.
Well, we'll make it happen. I gotta get him on the podcast then. That'd be a big
I wish he was. I mean, obviously, I don't wish he was still here, but like, I wish I could go grab him and have like say a couple of words, because he's a great guy.
Oh, I mean, and you love to see a successful guys like that,
yeah,
for sure. So, but all right, so I think we're gonna wrap it up here. For everyone that's listening, thank you for listening to this episode with Zach Hart. Dude, it's been a while. I gotta say, like, I was looking forward to getting you on here. Kind of like one of the first people I had for a thought. I wanted to wait a little bit longer, but then I was just like, I can't wait. I said, I gotta send a DM and see if you reply. So,
of course, man, of course.
I thank you for coming on. You're killing it. Keep doing your thing, man.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see where you kind of go from the journey here on out. Honestly, man, I wish you nothing but the best. So keep doing your thing. Man. We'll hold the fort down here. We'll the podcast will represent. We'll be Zach Hart fans, even though I am a Sox guy. But dude, thanks for coming on, man. Thank you guys for listening to another episode of Record Bros. So.